Hello everyone and welcome back for another episode of Indie Impressions. My name is Nick, and today we're checking out something called Nausea. This is by the same developer. If you remember back in the day, it was, I don't know, a few months ago, we did a game that was called either blank or like 5 or 6 underscores, or I think one of you came up with the nice idea of flatline. I didn't think of that one, props to you guys. This is the same developer named Rorschach Larshe. And they apparently like to do some kind of weird, out there, first-person navigation, exploration type game. So I believe that's what this is. I may be misdirected in saying that, but we're gonna have a look and see what it's about. Alright, perhaps writing entries daily would be the best. Writing a journal to get to the core. Not missing the slightest trifle, not the smallest fact, no matter how insignificant one may seem. And, above all, making them all into a system. Okay. Spacebar. With these words, I have started my journal, hoping that through examination of everything I have been going through will help me to get rid of the disease. Alas, the careful analysis of what has happened shed no light on the bizarre events occurring to me. This state manifests itself in a splendidly hectic manner, so I cannot anticipate the time of another fit. Only by the time it begins do I realize the nausea is coming, and by that time there is no way to fight it. I've been staying at home since the first fit. During the whole time, I still could not manage to pick out the events triggering the nausea. Are the constant fear and suspense getting in my way? So I got out of my apartment and went to a nearby park. I have visited it before, but I am not very familiar with the place. My hopes were that the presence of other people and the evening drizzle would calm me. But I was wrong. Just as I turn around, the nausea already has its grip on me. No people around, no rain, no birds. Nothing is here anymore. There is only silence, which is killing me. I have no idea what is really happening to me now. Maybe I am throwing an epileptic seizure. Twitching violently on the cold asphalt, surrounded by a crowd, perhaps. Unlike a madman, I am running through the park, foaming at the mouth. Maybe I'm simply sitting on this cold bench, with my eyes fixed on the same spot, unassumingly. I do not know. All I know is that I need to get away. Alright, so, that is our primer. And here we are in the somewhat dreary, depressing world of Nausea. I'm not sure if this is a game that requires our usual seizure warning. It may be. Knowing the last game, there was a little bit of a flashing light situation going. Hopefully it's not too late to already give that warning. So we've got a phone booth on this end. Some kind of incomprehensible void below. Some very Tim Burton-esque trees that seem to be long dead. And a street lamp. Give me a bit of a Silent Hill 2 vibe, maybe. Also a little bit of like the LSD Dream emulator, because I believe there was a scene that involved some dead trees and lamps and such. Oh, okay, well I guess I walked sufficiently far to that side, so I triggered another monologue section. I didn't know I was going to be reading for this one, so I guess we will make the best of that. Silence! The only thing I need from life. Silence can calm, it can focus. Silence is life. To be exact, silence is the absence of death. I don't really know that I agree with that, but okay. Sounds die just upon their birth, some slower, some faster, but there is no doubt. Every sound, sooner or later, comes to an end. So how is silence the absence of death? Music is war where myriads of sound perish. What can be more dreadful than music? Okay, so we're looking at a sort of reverse, very pessimistic way. I'm not sure if the grammar here is really correct. I'm pretty sure that's not how you use myriad, but that's okay. Again, as this comes up quite often, I don't judge people whose English might not be their first language, but I do feel a little bit of an obligation. If you're coming at game development from that perspective, and you're making something for a predominantly English-speaking audience, find someone who can proofread stuff for you. I mean, is it really that hard? I mean, I understand if you don't want to pay for it, and maybe that results in a little bit of a strange situation. But, you know, let this be my way of offering help to the indie development at large. If you're in this position and you've got a reasonably small amount of copy that needs proofreading, I'll happily volunteer to take care of that for you if it's something I can knock out in an hour or something. You know, as long as you're not giving me a freaking book, I don't mind. So yeah, to anyone watching, within reason, you know, and barring my schedule, of course, I would be happy to proofread and work on spelling and grammar for you. I'm actually decent at that, so if I can help. I can always find silence in this park, but not this time. The accursed music keeps following me. Wherever I go, there is music. So I think we just got a little bit of a hit of music going in the background. It's like way far away, though. This voice, this melody, these sounds. I cannot run from music forever. Enough! I shall find and destroy the source of these abhorrent sounds. The noise in my head won't let me focus. It makes me enter the state again. So the sound is causing this person extreme discomfort or some sort of an affliction, which we're calling nausea, but I'm not sure if nausea is standing in for something far more sinister. Although it may be quite literal. I mean, there was actually mention of seizures and foaming at the mouth and such, so I don't know. It's hard to tell. Sometimes the figurative and the literal get a little bit wound up and confused with each other when we're dealing with nebulous concepts such as this. Now there is only music and me in this park. In the end, only one will stand. I shall find the source quick by the sound. Then I will be, at last, able to listen to silence. Alright, so I need to use my stereolocational hearing abilities to follow the sound to its source. So this is something that will definitely necessitate the use of headphones, if that is an option for you. In the case where it is not, if you don't have like 5.1 surround sound, then try and crank up your speakers real loud. Maybe that'll help. No guarantees, though. I can hear the music. These charming sounds, they pull me out of the nausea. Wait, so now music's good? I thought music was what we wanted to destroy a second ago. These sounds hold perfect harmony. Now there is only me, the nausea, and the music. Well, it's not just an only situation. That's like 3 things. I have to find out where the music really is. I must have this music all to myself. The world is fading, the world of existence is disappearing. I am inside the music where nothing but sounds exist. I'll just say that's how it's said. Isn't this the ideal of life? But the sounds are still timid and quiet. Onwards, onwards, as far from the hated silence as possible. I feel I can hear. I feel the swelling of these trees' roots. The swarming worms deep in the ground. Just a bit further and I will not be able to hold this. I find it interesting that someone that might have a somewhat tenuous grasp of the language would choose to make the game so focused on poetry and writing. I'm not to say that that's something they shouldn't do. I mean, however you need to express yourself, go for it. I'm just saying it seems like you would want to play to your strengths. But it's not like this has been terrible. I mean, I've noted like maybe 5 or 6 errors, but whatever. I don't want to harp on that again. I've done it in past episodes a number of times. So close. Well, I really didn't have a lot of options. I was either going to go forward or back. The music is unwanted. It only increases the amount of existence. I don't know what that means. The closer I come to the source of the sound, the worse I feel. I can hear anything in these sounds. A rumbling of someone's stomach, a cry, a shout, a tirade most obscene. I can hear anything in these sounds. So the sound is like a variable placeholder for positivity or negativity. I mean, it seems like we've gone back and forth a couple times here. One sound is identical to another. Each one is an unneeded existence. An explosion, a shot, a hiss of a bullet, a splash of water, a song of a bird. It's time to put an end to this. Well, we keep using these large type sizes to punctuate these statements, yet they just keep going. And if you're going to punctuate a statement, you should actually have it be a punctuation instead of this, like, drawn-out lengthening of the same concept. There seems to be a lot of lens flare-y stuff going on, and now we've got these, like, I think these were here before, these little particles rising from the ground. They look kind of nice, I guess, but if they were in reverse, I would think they were snow. Man, what is the point of walking through this area? The sound comes closer. It is loud enough now. This music is beautiful. The world is imperfect, but these sounds are the most harmonic and perfect part of it. The closer I come to the source of the sound, the better I feel. These sounds muffle my heavy thoughts. Just a little more of this voice, a little more melody, and the nausea will dissolve. Wonder why melody is in caps there, or capitalized there. So close, I'm coming. Okay. So far this 3D element has been largely ornamental. I'm not sure if this is about to change, because we have some sort of rotating circular figure going on over here, which has just made the interest level in this game go up about 100-fold. I believe there are actually trees attached to it, which is kind of wild. I wish we didn't have this noise filter, though. It's getting a little bit on my nerves. It's so blue over here. Kind of cool light patterns happening when you walk through these light sources. You can see there's the blue one right here, and then there's the green one over there, and then there's the white one in the background, and then there's this overlay of noise over all of it. It's a strange thing. I mean, you don't really see too many combinations like that. Alright, so what's up with this? Oh, okay. Press tab to switch between the characters. What? Okay, this is new. Okay, just press tab. Oh, okay, there's duality going on. That explains the shift in the narrative. I wasn't expecting for this to end up being somewhat coherent. I feel bad saying that, but I really just kind of wasn't. So, am I gonna see the other figure? Probably not, right? Okay, let's keep going. I wonder if there's kind of copyright on that music. I hope not. Let's keep going. Keep going and going and going. Is there a reason for me to go this far? Am I crossing over to the other side? Light and dark have basically just switched places. Something like that. Explains why the situation was so similar on both sides. So one of them wants to get away from the music entirely, the other one wants to embrace it fully. But I'm not sure which is which at this point, because I've switched places too many times. That is a phonograph, indeed. The silence has consumed everything. Dreadful sounds come from this silence. Blood flows through the veins, worms eat the rotting flesh, trees suck the life from the soil. The plants with their twigs, leaves, sprouts, and roots entangle the cities. Where wheat has once grown, bony hands now greedily reach out towards the sun, or toward the sun. Their fingers have become maggots, fat and white. They move slightly, all this with the sounds that make blood run cold. I have to escape somehow, lest I go insane. Game session finished. Press escape to return to the main menu. So that was, what, the fail condition? Well, that was nausea, I suppose. I don't know that I really care to go back and do the other side of that. I guess we were supposed to take that character and put them as far away from the phonograph as possible, take the other character, put them as close to the phonograph as possible. I guess I did it wrong. I don't know. This was a little interesting of a journey. I mean, honestly, when we started it, I wasn't expecting it to go anywhere particularly compelling, but then somewhere around the middle or so, I started to actually find a little bit of appreciation for it. However, like I said, the 3D element, the walking around, the exploration element, that was largely ornamental. But, you know, there are still plenty of unanswered questions. For example, what's up with the rotating, like, islands with trees going on them around the phonograph in the middle? Was there symbology that was encapsulating this entire experience? Was there some sort of a message here that was deeper than I was getting? I wonder if this is just a case of like lost in translation, where maybe there's some cultural differences. Because as with their other game, I kind of didn't get it. I mean, I could get it if you wanted to give me a set of like rules and constraints to work within. But on its own, based on what it gave me directly, I'm not sure I got it. I just sort of had to put the pieces together myself. This one's a little bit more concrete than that one was, but still, it's pretty out there. I mean, I don't think that a lot of people are going to get a, you know, life-changing, some sort of story that they can now apply to their world. based on this. It sort of exists a little bit in a vacuum, if you know what I mean. I hope you know what I mean. It's always kind of interesting doing these very out there, kind of confusing, abstract story narratives where really a lot of this is up to completely subjective interpretation by an individual watching or listening or playing or whatever you want to say. I think this is, again, the case. There is a nice balance a lot of times. I think when these types of games are most successful, when you ride the line between subjectivity and objectivity, where you can bring part of your own life experience to the game, where part of it you can relate to, and then the other part of it is extrapolated from largely just fiction or some sort of a twisting of reality or some sort of a method or a story that you might not expect to see. In this case, it's so far removed from reality that I think a lot of the elements of storytelling or some sort of a lesson or a feeling where it all comes together, I think that can be a lot of the time somewhat lost. But that's just my take on it. I am very curious to hear what you guys think about this type of thing. I will hesitantly say that I probably won't try to look for games that are like this in general, but occasionally if they show up, I don't mind. I mean, I'll play whatever I play. Just, whatever comes in front of me that looks interesting. But I'm not going to go out of my way to look for games that look specifically obtuse just to have some kind of weird dialogue with you guys about what being obtuse means for gameplay design. In this case, I'm not sure it did it any favors particularly, but maybe I'm missing the point, and there is still something to be said for the fact that I didn't get the other half of the story, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure that is what happened, but if it is, then there is still a little bit more to be seen in Nausea. Why use the word nausea? I mean, it seems like a lot of this stuff is somewhat arbitrary. I mean, I guess it does elicit some sort of a visceral response in people. You hear nausea, you think people violently ill. You think of that disorientation, separation from reality, which I guess in a way you could make a correlation to that. So maybe there was some strategic thinking here. And I don't mean to indict the developer as if they weren't thinking strategically. I just feel like there's such a wall between their intentions and what I'm getting from it that a lot of the time it feels like sort of happenstance or luck that I might run into some of those intentions just in my own ramblings and thought patterns. But yeah, if they are on the same page as I'm imagining they are, then I guess really things aren't all that obtuse. I'm just adding another level of obtusity. Is that even a word? Whatever. It's what I'm looking for is a little bit more transparency is really all. Make your intentions as a game designer a little bit clearer, and it might be a little simpler for me to get what we're after in the total scope of the game. And in this case, I'm not sure I got that per se. However, we've run rather long here. I've rambled quite a bit on this title screen. I know how much you guys don't really get into that, but sometimes I just want to talk. And hopefully some of you stuck around to hear the whole thing. So if you did, I appreciate it, and I will spare you the long-form plug section today in the end of our video. So as always, if you want to check out the other stuff in the series, indie-impressions.com is your website to visit. Check out the description for all the social media links if you'd like to visit the other stuff. There's also facebook.com/indieimpressions. I also have a Twitch TV account, which I don't really mention too much, which is twitch.tv/RockLeeSmile. My naming schemes are pretty obvious, and basically I just title everything /RockLeeSmile. So if you're ever wondering if I've registered something, that's probably the quickest way to find it. But if you'd like to submit a suggestion, question, recommendation, comment, suggestion, whatever you got, if you want to hit me up on either the contact form on the website or if you want to tweet me at @RockLeeSmile on Twitter, that's the quickest way to grab my ear. Of course, comments in the YouTube section, those are also welcome, and I am very curious to hear your thoughts on my little ramble here, as well as the game itself, and what you may or may not have taken from it. I do find this kind of game development to be very much on the outskirts of mainstream. There's not a lot really done in terms of really analyzing how obtuse gameplay can get. So, I mean, maybe there's more of it than I'm aware of, but from what I've seen, it seems like a lot of this stuff is still all theory, and we're all just sort of working through what this might mean for game development. And I really am very interested in exploring this kind of stuff, so hopefully if you guys are with me, we'll have a little dialogue. And like I said, I'm not probably going to look for games like this, but if they come up, and if they seem applicable, or if they have particularly good art design or something, I wouldn't mind jumping in for another run of something similar. This one being so text-heavy, it seems a little bit weighty, maybe a little boring to go through. Weighty is not the right word, but I think you know what I'm trying to say. I want to keep things sort of light in terms of getting through the content, and I think just me reading to you, although maybe there is a market for that, I don't know if I want to be the one to prepare that kind of content. I might do it occasionally, though. I even talked back a while ago, wasn't I saying I would do maybe, just for catabasis, that I might read some kind of like, whatever crazy horror stories or something I could find online, we could talk about that together. But who knows? There are infinite options for the future of the RockLeeSmile channel. So hopefully you guys can stick with me, let me know your thoughts, and I will see you all again tomorrow for another indie game, because hopefully you knew by now, we do a new, different indie game every single day on this channel. So stick around, and I will see you then.